and gentlemen, welcome back to Insight, and we were talking quite deeply and quite interestingly about maritime affairs and the blue economy and how you and I can be able to not just take part in it, but actually not just participate, but actually gain a benefit from it ourselves, as well as take and evolve our society and our country and the future of our children to the next level. You were making a very big point. If you recall that, please keep going.
Okay, let me say that we have come of age as a maritime nation, and I think that Kenyans need to embrace this space. If you have extra money, please bring it into the maritime sector. We've had enough of stone and mortar investment, real estate,
blocks and sand and cement.
Yes, this is an area where we can do so much more. Then the other thing I wanted to say is that global, events globally are pointing at us as Africa to be able to play a more, important role. And of course, we talk of Africa, but still the country itself. And we have what it takes as Kenyans to be the springboard for what, Africa can do. Right. Let me start by talking of the demographics, or the demographic dividend for Kenya. Great. You can't even begin to think of what the young people can do. Techno-savvy, well-traveled, speak very well, grounded in English. English is the center, like I said earlier, is the language of the sector, is the language of safety. And that's the most important thing to note. They speak English very well, no accent, So, because the idea of the language is to communicate, to be able to communicate and to also get instructions and effect them. But at the heart of all this and what we can do is capacity building. It's training. And therefore having enough infrastructure for training is very, very key. And investment in the sector, and that's why I don't know whether you heard the VC saying that there's a time even I met him when I was engaging KEPSA, because I'm trying to interest people with capital, including the private sector. Please bring the money into this space, train the people, set up, even if it is cottage industries in this sector that can contribute to the blue economy. When we talk of the personnel, that's one of the most critical. The people, who are expected to work on board ships. The fleet, the global fleet. Even as we are going into automation, because now we are, the future is, the theme is saying, navigating the future, will see ships that are, like we are getting the Tesla,
self-drive cars,
even it's coming into the sea, but that's still a long way off. So there's still a need for people. Yes, there'll still be a need for people. So starting that accelerated investments in training is very, very, very important.
One person would ask, accelerated training to get into this, are there opportunities? Oh,
and that's what I'm driving at, because two events that happened in the recent past, the COVID-19.
Pay attention, folks.
COVID-19 exposed the Achilles heel of the maritime sector, because there before we had no notice, or we didn't pay attention to, well, we have crew, they're qualified, where they come from, it's a big issue. But now, COVID shuts almost half the world, and therefore movement is restricted. And the number of times that ships would come and wonder, can I get officers from Kenya, because they are here, because we aligned ourselves with IMO structures and kept, our ports open for crew change, because there was a crisis. But now there are crew who cannot travel to come and take up jobs, to go on leave, to replace. So that was number one, physical restrictions arose. Then immediately, almost thereafter, as we were recovering from COVID, in terms of crew movement and placements, the Russia-Ukraine conflict came. And between them, 14% of crew were off.
Wow.
Now you begin to see a world that's looking to diversify the sources of labor. Diversity in two ways. First of all, where the labor is coming from, and Africa becomes very attractive for that, because of this big, like I said, demographic dividend. Many young people who are ready and who have the right mindset, who can
ready.
And who are ready and who can, you know, bring that talent into the sector.
Okay.
Then you begin also to see the gender. I must speak about that.
Please go ahead.
Very,
absolutely.
Important point for me. Now, the shipping industry has not been very strong on SDG 5 for reasons of traditional thinking and historical. And therefore, there is this now realization that if we are going to make the transition, first of all, diversity in terms of physical recruitment area, but then, of course, you cannot do it with only half the gender.
Absolutely.
If you think about it now, 2%, only 2% of, for example, the seafarers globally are women. So why is half of humanity not playing the role it should in contributing into this big transition that we must do? And therefore, we have our work cut out for us. We're trying, and a lot of, the global efforts are being made to bring everybody on board. And particularly more women, because we must do it. The time is now. So I wish I don't know how I could tell Kenyans, please, let's invest in this maritime sector. Let me tell you, young people need to understand that, like I said earlier today, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the fish will always think it's stupid. This is an area where it doesn't judge anybody on their ability to score. I'm not saying it's bad,
right?
But then judging our children by the fact that they have inadequacies because they didn't get the cutoff points for the university, when there is an industry like this one that can give them massive opportunities for growth, I think we are really cutting ourselves short.
Right.
Then I was saying earlier how recently we had a ship, just to illustrate how important it is. Ship in port, and this captain says, it's my last voyage, it's my last trip. I've worked with this company for that 6 years. He's a ship captain. I got in as a cook. He's the captain.
Wow.
Now, the point I'm making is this. Where else, which other industry will you find somebody who gets in at the factory floor level, but because they had other talents that academia maybe didn't recognize, but they are able to grow because this is an industry that recognizes your other innate gifts and not
abilities.
Just the academia. So we'll be doing ourselves a great favor if we open this whole world for our children, because it's the right thing to do. If you export labor, for example, the professionals, and this is something practical, you export doctors. If a Kenyan trained doctor goes, let's say, to the US, they won't get tomorrow robe and get into. They have to go through other retraining, and it takes time.
It's expensive.
But here, you get in and you just keep growing and growing to the top.
Absolutely.
And then the money is not bad. You know, talent is recognized and properly remunerated.
Right.
Yes.
I love that, and I hope all the young people are listening. Essentially, there's no limitation here.
No.
What you got as a grade in school, there's no limitation for you to try a hand at this, receive the training. There are now institutions that are offering this, including Mount Kenya University. The Maritime Academy in Malindi is the freshest entrant into this field. There's quite a lot. But before we go, I want to give our dear Ambassador Nancy an opportunity to speak to Kenyans. This is your camera.
Oh, thank you.
I want you to speak speak from your heart to Kenyans. If you had 3 key things to say to them, as quick as you can. There's your camera. Speak to Kenyans, they're listening. All the young people, all the people who are seeking this gospel, they're eager.
I think I would be doing a disservice if I don't share the story of this young man who was recruited in the maritime sector. He didn't have training. He was from Marsabit. He is from Marsabit. And when we were doing mass recruitment in 2022, he was interviewed. And the recruiter thought he had the right attitude. He'd just finished Form 4, already, but he didn't have the time for training. But they thought he could go in as a utility. Utility is, what can I say? You don't have any special training, but he would help. But now, he went and after the first contract, he so impressed the people on board, the bosses. By the second contract, they told him, we are going to train you in what you want to do. And the boy has chosen to be a captain. So he's already on track. And that's the point I'm making. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter where the school system placed you. Here is an opportunity to reach your dreams. And we are doing a disservice to our children if we are not giving them an opportunity. But of course, it starts with awareness. Awareness, and attitude also. Very, very important.
All right.
And will create global citizens who, if you look at history of other economies, and I could cite South Korea, the industrialization came on the backbone of the seafarers that they trained, because when they came back, they had managed to do savings. And because the training is so intense and so good, it transforms the people, the young people, into, you know, steady, resilient, and people who are different. And they are able to set up then, when they come back home, they've got the money, they've got the discipline, they've got the experience, they've got the connections. And look at what potential it has for a country like us.
Absolutely.
Growth, growth, growth.
Growth and growth and growth.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, clearly, this conversation is bigger than the time that we have. But I would like to believe that in the little time that we've had, we've left a seed of hope, a seed of inspiration, a seed of enlightenment in the minds of those that have been watching us. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had the pleasure of having Ambassador Nancy Karigithu here with us this evening, here to share her wisdom out of a long and distinguished career in the maritime sector, particularly starting as a legal professional in the sector, but now an advisor over a wide range of issues. And thank you so much for coming this evening.
Thank you very much.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
And thank you, Kenyans, for being with us, and I hope that somebody will do something.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And I hope you heard those 2 stories, very inspirational. It doesn't matter where you come from. This is a sector that embraces everyone, and the opportunities are astronomical. It's a wide open space for anyone to come in. I'm almost tempted myself to take to the sea.
Thank you.
Well, good people, thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome.
And I'd like to wish you a good night. Tonight we have been coming to you live from the Nyali Golf View Resort and Residence right here, and we appreciate them for giving us the space, and we want to wish you a good night full of God's blessings. Up next is VAR with the great Duncan Mutua. We'll see you next week. God bless you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you so much.